Reading from King James Version. In the name of the Father, with the Son, through the Holy Spirit. HalleluYah. Blessed be His holy name. 1 Kings 7. But Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his house. He built also the house of the forest of Lebanon, the length thereof 100 cubits, and the breadth thereof 50 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits, upon 4 rows of cedar pillars, with cedar beams upon the pillars, and covered with cedar above upon the beams, that on 45 pillars 15 a row, and windows 3 rows, and light against light 3 ranks, and all the doors and posts square with the windows, and light against light 3 ranks. And he made a porch of pillars, the length thereof 50 cubits, and the breadth thereof 30 cubits, and the porch before them, and the pillars and the thick beam before them. Then he made a porch for the throne where he might judge, the porch of judgment, and covered with cedar from one side of the floor to the other. His house where he dwelt, another court within the porch, was of the like work. Solomon made also a house for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken like unto his porch. All these costly stones, according to the measure of hewed stones, sawed with saws within and without, even from the foundation unto the coping, and on the outside towards the great court. And the foundation costly stones, great stones, stones of 10 cubits and stones of 8 cubits, and above costly stones after the measures of hewed stones and cedar, and the great court round about, with 3 rows of hewed stones, and a row of cedar beams, both for the inner court of the house of the Lord and for the porch of the house. King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre, he a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father a man of Tyre, a worker in brass. And he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all works in brass. And he came to King Solomon and wrought all his work, for he cast 2 pillars of brass of 18 cubits high apiece, and a line of 12 cubits did compass either of them about. And he made 2 capiters, molten brass, to set upon the tops of the pillars. The height of the one capiter 5 cubits, and the height of the other capiter 5 cubits. Nets of checker work and reds of chain work for the capiters which upon the top of the pillars, 7 for the one capiter and 7 for the other capiter. And he made the pillars and 2 rows round about upon the one network to cover the capiter, that upon the top, with pomegranates. And so did he for the other capiter, and the capiter that upon the top of the pillars of lily work in the porch, 4 cubits. And the capiter upon the 2 pillars also above, over against the belly, which by the network, and the pomegranates 200 in rows, round about upon the other capiter. And he set up the pillars in the porch of the temple, and he set up the right pillar, and called the name thereof Yachin. And he set up the left pillar, and called the name thereof Boaz. And upon the top of the pillars lily work, so was the work of the pillars finished. And he made a molten sea, 10 cubits from the one brim to the other, round all about, and his height 5 cubits. And a line of 30 cubits did compass it round about, and under the brim of it round about, knobs passing it, 10 in a cubit, compassing the sea round about. The knobs cast in 2 rows when it was cast. It stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, and 3 looking toward the west, and 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east, and the sea upon them, and all their hinder parts inward, and 8 handbreadth thick, and the brim thereof was wrought like the brim of a cup with flowers of lilies. It contained 2,000 baths. And he made 10 bases of brass, 4 cubits the length of one base, and 4 cubits the breadth thereof, and 3 cubits the height of it. And the work of the bases on this, they have borders, and the borders between the ledges, and on the borders that between the ledges lions, oxen, and cherubims. And upon the ledges a base above and beneath the lions and oxen, certain additions made of tin work. And every base had 4 brazen wheels and plates of brass. And the 4 corners thereof had undersetters under the laver, undersetters molten at the side of every addition, and the mouth of it within the capiter and above a cubit. But the mouth thereof round the work of the base, a cubit and half, and also upon the mouth of it gravings with their borders, 4 square not round. And under the borders 4 wheels, and the axle trees of the wheels to the base, and the height of a wheel a cubit and half a cubit. And the work of the wheels like the work of a chariot wheel, their axle trees and their naves and their felloes and their spokes all molten, and their spokes all molten, and 4 undersetters to the 4 corners of one base, the undersetters of the very base itself, and in the top of the base a round compass of half a cubit high, and on the top of the base the ledges thereof and the borders thereof of the same. For on the plates of the ledges thereof and on the borders thereof he graved cherubims, lions, and palm trees, according to the portion of every one. And additions round about. After this he made the 10 bases. All of them had one casting, one measure, one size. Then made he 10 lavers of brass. One laver contained 40 baths. Every laver was 40 cubits. Upon every one of the 10 bases one laver. And he put 5 bases on the right side of the house and 5 on the left side of the house. And Hiram made the lavers and the shovels and the basins. So Hiram made an end of doing all the work that he made King Solomon for the house of the Lord. The 2 pillars and the bowls of the capiter that on the top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 networks to cover the 2 bowls of the capiters which on the top of the pillars, 400 pomegranates for the 2 networks, 2 rows of pomegranates for one network to cover the 2 bowls of the capiter that upon the pillars, and the 10 bases and 10 levers on the bases, and one sea, and 12 oxen under the sea, and the pots and the shovels and the basins, and all these vessels which Hiram made to King Solomon for the house of the Lord, bright brass. In the plain of Jordan did the king cast them, in the clay ground between Succoth and Sartan. Solomon left all the vessels, because they were exceeding many, neither was the high weight of the brass found out. Solomon made all the vessels that unto the house of the Lord, the altar of gold, and the table of gold, whereupon the excuse me, showbread, and the candlestick of pure gold, 5 on the right and 5 on the left, before the oracle with the flowers and the lamps and the tongues gold. and the bowls, and the snuffers, and the basins, and the spoons, and the censers pure gold, and the hinges gold, for the doors of the inner house, the most holy, for the doors of the house of the temple. So was ended all the work that King Solomon made for the house of the Lord. And Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated. The silver and the gold and the vessels did he put among the treasures of the house of the Lord. Chronicles 4